In the earliest days of Anglo-Saxon England, one royal family claimed something no other dynasty dared to claim, not descent from Woden. Every English kingdom claimed Woden, the war god, the wanderer, the lord of ravens. Woden was the safe choice, the prestigious choice, claimed by the Mercians, the Northumbrians, the West Saxons. This family claimed something older, a god so specific, so tribal, so Saxon, that his name survives in almost no written record, a god known only to one people and remembered only because Christian missionaries forced their converts to reject him by name. His name was Seaxnēat, and the king who carried that bloodline, who built a kingdom on that claim, was a shadowy ruler named Æscwine of Essex. You have never heard of him, but without him there is no London. This is his story.
The people who would become the East Saxons came from the flat, wind-pressed edges of northern Germany, the mouth of the Elbe River, the gray beaches of what is now Schleswig-Holstein. They were Saxon in the original specific sense, people of the Seax, the blade. For a long time, history imagined their arrival as conquest, great fleets on firelit water, warbands storming the crumbling walls of Roman towns. The archaeology tells a quieter story. In East Saxon graves, archaeologists find cremation urns identical to those used along the Elbe River in northern Germany, the same shoulder profile, the same stamped ornament. These settlers did not slowly evolve from local Britons. They arrived already Saxon, a community transplanted whole from another shore. In the late 5th century, small, flat-bottomed boats began working their way into the river mouths along Britain's eastern coast, the Thames, the Blackwater, the Colne. The newcomers did not march toward the abandoned shells of Roman towns. They settled the marshes, they farmed the valley floors, they buried their dead in the earth they intended to keep. Æscwine was probably not a general commanding an army. He was the foremost among the clan heads, the man whose lineage, his descent from Seaxnēat himself, gave him the authority to speak for all of them. In a world without written law, genealogy was legitimacy. Descent from the tribal god was not mythology, it was the political foundation of everything.
Among all the gods of early England, one stands apart. Not Woden, whose worship stretched from Norway to the Rhine. Not Ing, whose name is embedded across the Germanic world. Seaxnēat, a god whose name survives only in genealogies and in one Christian oath. That oath was used by Christian missionaries converting the Saxons on the continent. The fact that they required converts to name and reject Seaxnēat is telling. You do not formally renounce minor spirits, you renounce the gods that matter. Seaxnēat was placed alongside Thunor and Woden, the Thunder Lord and the All-Father, the two greatest deities of the Germanic pantheon. He was not peripheral, he was central. He was the identity itself. Most English kingdoms traced their lineage to Woden, the West Saxons, the Mercians, the Northumbrians. Woden was the universal divine ancestor, borrowed prestige from a shared continental past. But the kings of East Saxons traced their divine descent not to Woden, but to Seaxnēat. To descend from Seaxnēat was not merely to be chosen by a god,
It was to be the Saxon people's own blood, a king who was not just a ruler, but a living embodiment of what the East Saxons were.
Britain in the early 6th century was a patchwork. Hill fort communities on the high ground, fading Romano-British towns managing the old road network, Saxon settlements multiplying in the low river valleys and tidal margins. The land did not belong to anyone cleanly. As the East Saxon settlements multiplied and cohered, they needed a single authority, a man whose lineage could override rivalry, a king. Later traditions record that Æscwine once stood under the authority of the Lord of Kent, the Oisingas dynasty, whose power centered on the richest, most Romanized corner of the former province. To a newly arrived clan leader, Kent was the dominant power. Sometime around the year 527, tensions broke into violence. Two war bands met along the marshy banks of the River Lee, the dark ribbon of water that would later form the boundary between Essex and Middlesex. Kent's king expected obedience. Æscwine refused.
What followed may have been a single battle, or years of fighting that later storytellers compressed into one clean legend. The details are lost, but the outcome is not. The authority of Kent over the East Saxons was broken. The kingdom of Essex was born. To the west lay a prize that no king of Essex could ignore. Londinium sat at the tidal limit of the Thames, enormous by the standards of the age, largely abandoned by the old administrative class, but still a place of extraordinary potential. The roads of the former province radiated outward from it. Control London, and you controlled the arteries of the south. The East Saxons did not storm it. The great Roman walls still stood, but the empire that built them was gone. Instead, the countryside changed hands. First, Saxon settlements controlled the farmland. Saxon villages sat astride the roads and river crossings. Cut off gradually from the land that fed it, the old Roman city declined further. People moved away. Trade routes shifted. And when the East Saxon kings eventually held London openly in the 6th century, they inherited a place already transformed. Not a conquest, but a slow inheritance.
Essex left almost no written record. No native chronicle, few charters. In the great narrative works of early England, Bede's ecclesiastical history, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, its kings appear only briefly, glimpsed in the margins of other kingdoms. They endured, but they endured in the shadow of others. And yet something happened in that shadow kingdom that mattered to all England. Seaxnēat of Essex, a descendant of Æscwine, became the first East Saxon king to accept Christianity. Under him, the old Londinium received a bishop. A cathedral was founded at the site where St. Paul's still stands today. But the conversion of a king is not the conversion of a people. When Seaxnēat died, his sons rejected Christianity. They reopened the old temples. They expelled the Bishop of London from the city. Seaxnēat was not so easily forgotten. Only gradually, over decades, over generations, did the rulers of Essex commit fully to the new faith, not cleanly, not in one moment, in the way that all deep changes in belief moves through a society, slowly, unevenly, with reversals the official record prefers to forget.
By the early 9th century, the age of small kingdoms was collapsing. The Mercian Empire was fracturing. Out of the west, a new power was rising. Egbert of Wessex,
who moved with the momentum of a dynasty that had long waited its moment. One by one, the old kingdoms of England were absorbed, subordinated, reduced from realms to provinces. The last independent king of Essex was a man named Sigrid. He did not fall in battle. He was not destroyed. He was simply made irrelevant, reduced first from a king to a subordinate lord, and then, in the year 825, compelled to submit entirely to Egbert of Wessex. The kingdom that traced its origin to a warlord crossing the North Sea, that claimed divine blood from a god older than Woden, ceased to exist as an independent realm. Essex became a county, a division, an administrative convenience. The line that began with Æscwine, friend of the spear, protector of the warband, kin to the god of the Saxons, ended not with a last stand or a funeral pyre, but on a signature in someone else's court. History's cruelest endings are rarely the dramatic ones. And yet, the city that the East Saxons held, the city that Sæbert gave a cathedral, that Æscwine's descendants ruled for 2 centuries, still stands. Its streets follow paths laid before the Romans came. The river that Æscwine's people crossed to reach it still moves under the same sky. London remembers nothing of Æscwine, but it would not be London without him.
If this story found you, thank you for staying. A very special thank you to our members. Your support keeps the archive open. If it reached you, leave a like. Share it with someone who still thinks history has nothing left to surprise them. And subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.